2 minutes ago. But yeah, it's been an interesting one.
Good. Well, we're now live, so we carry on talking until we get some people and they tell us whether we're loud and clear. Which may be a while. So, did you enjoy America?
Oh my goodness, absolutely loved it. I came back and I was like absolutely buzzing, not just the friends that I'd made, but what I had learned. And, you know, I came back completely empowered and so proud to be an agent, which is something that I think in the past we've lacked as an industry. And it just that pride that just oozes out of them, and the way that they all work together harmoniously and they all want to be friends and they all want to network. I think there's just so many lessons that we can learn from our American friends, and hopefully I'll be able to help develop that with Property Mark as well, you know. So it was brilliant, and it was great to meet up with you as well and your team out there. So
brilliant. Well, we'll come on to that in a sec. So we're starting to get some people. Andrea is up in Scotland in Perth, and Andrea knows exactly what I'm like. My first question is, can you hear me loud and clear? And she's already on it. Very funny. Simon, thanks for joining us. He's in wet Wales. It's very wet in North London as well. I think it's rained for the last 24 hours. Hi, Gimbley. Thanks for joining us as well. So please, if you could share it with your colleagues, like it, tag your friends in. If you're watching on replay, thanks very much for joining us. I'm very excited because I've been trying to get Lauren to do a podcast with me and Luke and Andy forever. But I was absolutely delighted that Lauren said yes to the Lunchtime Learnings. So thanks very much for joining us. Really grateful for you giving your time, your lunchtime. I know Virgin's coming out at 3 o'clock, but we won't share that with everybody, so you're okay. Hi, Graham. Nice to see you. Glad the sun's come out in Colchester. Hi, Jeremy and Billericay. Thanks for joining us. Hi, Owen in East London. Thanks very much for joining us. Appreciate it. So, Lauren, you are the Managing Director of Trading Places Estate Agents in Whitley Bay. You are the youngest female National Association of Estate Agent Property Mark President.
I am indeed.
I have the pleasure of meeting you in America. Hi, Debs, in November at the NAR conference. And thank you for Katie Griffin for putting us in contact. I put a message out on Facebook that I was here. 2 minutes later, I got a message. Oh, do you know Lauren? You need to know Lauren. She can get you in front of loads of people. And that night we ended up at a lovely party in a really swanky hotel with Lauren, an amazing host. And we had a fantastic evening. Hi, Ruth. Hi, Vicky. Thanks for joining us. Vicky, the feedback we've had from your interview last week is absolutely amazing. So thanks very much again. People absolutely loved it. So we met there. We had a great time. But should we start on that actually? Because I know we were talking about it. So let's start with your journey actually. So tell us how you became an estate agent in the first place.
Okay, so like many people, I kind of fell into it and fell in love with the business. I didn't intend to be an estate agent when I went to university. I studied equine science and wanted to have a career in horses because that is my first love. But I quickly realised when I was working as a Saturday girl for Reed's Reins that I could sell more properties on a Saturday than some of the full-timers, and I was making more commission than some of those guys. And I thought, hang on a minute, I absolutely love this. And the equine industry is a really tough industry to be in if you haven't got your own land, you know, to make proper money. And from a young age, I always wanted to succeed, and I was always very driven. That's basically how I got into it. From there, I worked with a lady and started up Trading Places for her. She was a mortgage advisor. and I was only 21 at the time. And then 12 months later, she dropped it on me, oh, I'm selling the business. So my wonderful mother loaned me a substantial amount of money to buy the business. And there I was, a business owner at 21, and scary time. But if I tell you the year was 2007 and it was November when I bought the business.
Good timing.
Good timing. Bearing in mind the business I paid a fortune for didn't have a lettings book, and I was green as grass. So from there, I studied with the help of Arla and grew a lettings book very quickly. The area that I was in, the average house price was 500,000, and they survived on self-cert mortgages. But obviously after the crash, they were all pulled. And the houses that were being built by developers, people were self-certain, 2 million quid, and you got very nice fees from them. They stopped overnight. We didn't sell a house for 18 months. So it was pretty much in survival. So I learned how to survive from being kind of 3 months into the business. I also got diagnosed with cancer 6 months being into the business. So that was another survival that I had to overcome. But that was, 6 months into it, and I was back in business. So it was a real tough start for me. But with, like I say, with the help of Property Mark, which is why I have so much love for them, I was able to grow my business, have a really good lettings book, which helped me survive until the time came when houses started selling again. So from there, so that was in an area called Ponteland, which is a really high-end area near the airport. And then I branched out and got a second branch in 2014 in Whitley Bay, where I was brought up, where I went to school. And I quickly realised after 12 months that I was making so much more money in the Whitley Bay area. And I couldn't possibly tear myself, because I was so at the time personally involved in the business over the 2 locations. I sold the branch in Ponteland, so now Whitley Bay is our hub. So from there, I became a regional representative for Property Mark NEA. So I sat on the board and represented the North East. And then colleagues of mine, Katie Griffin and Jan Heitch, obviously saw something in me and really wanted to push me forward to directorship. Never thought I would get it, but I did, and thoroughly enjoyed it. And from there, I really wanted to give something back to Property Mark for what they had done for me at the beginning of my business. And I thought, at my age, I could really inspire young people, young women in particular, who've got a family. I've got 2 small children. That you can be successful and still have your own business as well as having a family. So that's really what I wanted to achieve. So when the ladies pushed me forward, come on, you would be a fantastic president. You could really get into the young people in our industry and really get them involved with our association. I didn't think for 1 minute that I was going to be elected. So while I was standing there, I think I was 6 months pregnant at the time at the AGM, and my name got called out. I nearly fell off my chair. But from there, my journey and my presidential journey started, and here I am now, nearly at the end of it. So, wow. So that's kind of in a nutshell. There's been many ups and downs, as you can imagine, but we are here, and I absolutely love it. I love our industry.
Amazing! What an amazing story. Can I go back to the start? So, and thank you for sharing some really personal stuff, because I know that's really challenging and hard to do. 21, bought a business, money borrowed from your mum, survival mode. So what lessons did you learn that have stood you in good stead over the years from that?
I think you need to work, and I never stopped. But I must say, I never felt one day that I was going to work. It just became my life. That's what I was doing. At the time, I didn't have the children, thankfully. So I was able to completely throw myself into the business and build relationships. And I just networked. Anybody who I spoke to, whether it be a shop owner, do they rent their shop out? Do they rent their flats out? I was asking for the business. And I asked everybody that I met for the business, whether that be contractors who looked after landlords' properties, and I created the leads myself by asking for the business and basically developing relationships with people so they trusted me. And from there, it might have been a long game with some of them, but from there I built the business up. So that was one of the lessons that I learned when it was tough. Maybe later on we can talk back at looking back at what I would do different. But you know, for me, it was just knuckle down, work as hard as you can, and be honest, be truthful, build those relationships, and build that trust with your clients.
Okay, and actually, do you know what? I love Just Ask for a Business. It's a real simple one. And people, you know, not enough people do it, and it's amazing how much business there is out there. You know, last week I had somebody come into my house to, we had a power cut, and our boiler wasn't working, and started talking to them. And the long and the short of it is, I ended up with a market appraisal for an agent just by asking. And he said, "Well, my property's too small, and I need to sell." And you start having these questions, it makes a difference. And I know Jeremy, I think we talked about this last week on it. You know, I was in Jeremy's office in Billericay, and the guy reading the meter came in, and I ended up getting a market appraisal. In fact, his property was on with another agent in the area. And it's just such a simple thing, asking questions. And you'll be amazed what you get by asking.
And everybody that you come across, there will be some sort of business, whether it be now or in the future, whether it's a tenant that'll be becoming a first-time buyer, or whether they need some sort of life insurance that you can refer them to a mortgage advisor. You know, there's all sorts of people in life who need services. So it's about speaking to the people, identifying back with a friendly fact find of what you might be able to help them with, and then tracking that through. So that's what I do.
Brilliant. So what does female president of the NAE Property Mark actually involve?
So I am an ambassador for Property Mark. So I am there to be a conduit from the members to the board, and I am there to support the members. So if the members have any issues that they would like to raise for me, I am their voice at the board, and I am their vote at the board. So that is what I do for them. I will go to events, whether it be you know, different conferences, anything like that, and I will again represent Property Mark and the membership. So yeah, that's what it involves. So on a kind of day-to-day basis, I will be looking after the regional representatives that I have on my board, who I hugely respect because give a lot of their time completely free of charge, voluntary, to help the association, and really speaking to them, helping them with individual issues, because we all have micro markets, micro issues, and then looking at those, bringing those back to board, and if necessary, getting Mark Hayward to take that to government. So that is one part of it. And another part of it, which is massively on the road, is all of the regional conferences and regional meetings that we have, sometimes 3 and 4 a week, dotted all over the country. So appearing at those, talking to the members, giving a presentation, and then hopefully having a coffee with them afterwards, and seeing how they are. And to be honest, a lot of them just want to have a chat. Talk about where they've been, where they're going, and what they're doing. So, and that's what I hugely enjoyed. Sorry.
So what have you seen? You know, obviously you travel up and down the country. You've seen, as you said, micro markets, very, very different in many different areas. What have you seen the challenges that some of your members have been facing?
So on the start of my presidential journey, the word on the street was this, you know, online versus traditional agent. And I was sick of hearing about it, you know, because that's all people on the board talked about. And at the time, you know, it was like, come on, guys, we need to adapt. We are all on an online platform here. You know, there's no us versus them. And I think that was one challenge that a lot of people had to overcome, because that was one of the questions that was constantly getting brought up at the regional meetings. What are you going to do about these, you know, online agents that are appearing in the marketplace? But you know what, there's enough room for all of us, and to have all of the different offerings out there. And I think until people kind of understood that and realized that and just did the best of what they could do with their business or adapted it, now we've kind of forgotten about that online versus traditional, and we're just doing what we do good. Following from that was the fee issue, the low fees. So everybody was talking about the challenges of low fees, low cost fees, and offering a full service, but then having to match another agent who was offering part of the service, but for a low fee. But so not to lose the business, they were completely stretching themselves with low fees, big service. So that was another major issue and challenge that I saw. And the other challenge, of course, was stock. So not enough stock coming to the market, more agents popping up in their towns all of the time, new vibrant agencies, you know, people really getting their teeth into it and getting stuck and not afraid to ask for the business, who were taking more of that pie that was so much needed because of the small fees. So those were the main challenges that I was talking to agents about whilst on the road and on our board.
And do you think fees is an issue in the agent's mind? I mean, we were over in America, and you know, you talked about sharing at the start, and you know, our American friends are able to get 6% fees. You know, 3% as a buying agent, 3% as a selling agent. So obviously, you know, they can over there afford to do fewer transactions. Whereas over here, obviously, you know, the average fee, I think, is closer to 1% now. You know, personally, I think every agent's worth 2%. And, you know, if people want to, you know, give me a call when I demonstrate how to, on my telephone, how to get a higher fee, because you're definitely worth it for what you do. And in fact, I did some training yesterday, and I got an email from a guy to say, you've done Stephen's training, and today we managed to get 2%, which is absolutely fantastic. Why do you think agents here are happy to effectively sell property for next to nothing?
I think they're frightened of failure and losing the instructions, so they go with the you know, the lower fee that's put on the table, unfortunately, you know, and frightened to show their value. And I've been there before myself. It's really tough, you know, when you've got a client say, oh well, that agent along the road said they'll do it for 0.75%. So, you know, if you don't do it for that, then you're not getting the business. And I think people are either afraid of walking away from that, which is what I do now, because I don't have time for those low fees, you know, or challenging that and really working on pushing that fee up. But it's really hard, you know, when clients, that there's not a lot of loyalty out there with clients, even if you've done a really good job. If they think they're going to get it £1,000 cheaper with Ned next door, then they might try that on. So yeah, it's a real challenge.
Okay, so I think Simon's on the flight over to America now, by the looks of things. Pete Lawrence says fear to fail. But for me, it's demonstrating how good you are at negotiating, and being a skilled negotiator in it. Yeah,
absolutely, and showing the value of the service and what they're paying for, because people will pay the correct fee, the right value of the fee, if they feel that there's value in it. We know that from day-to-day life. People do pay the correct value when they feel that there's value in it.
Okay, so can you give people some advice here then? How you go about, you know, because it must be hard to walk away from an instruction. You know, you mentioned some of the challenges some agents have is that they don't have enough stock. What would you say, you know, to those agents about walking away?
If they have to walk away?
Yeah.
Well, I think what they need to have is a steady line of new leads coming through the door, because don't be afraid to walk away from one fee that's going to potentially cost your money business when there's going to be another 3 or 4 opportunities there for that day where you can make profit on that deal. Don't just take the deal, because it will end up costing you money. And at this moment in time, the way that the industry is, you can't afford that. Every bit of business you do, you need it to make money. So do not be afraid to walk away from it. But it's much easier to walk away from a piece of business if you know that you've got another 3 appointments that you can close afterwards that are going to make profit for your business. So it's so important to be asking for the business and to be generating leads and valuations for the business.
So, and then an instruction is a liability until it's sold. So,
Yeah.
Have you got a good singing voice, Lauren?
I've got an all right singing voice, yeah. Yeah, who am I singing to?
Katie, because it's her birthday today.
Oh, dear. You know what? I was going to send her a little video, a little TikTok video later, but if she wants one now, she can have one. Does she want one?
Yeah, she's saying, positive and upbeat Lauren Scott-Simpson. Please, can you sing me a birthday song as well?
Okay, are you ready? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Katie Griffin. Happy birthday to you. There you go.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Round of applause. Owen said quality over quantity.
Yes.
And Katie said definitely go for it, which you've done. Amazing. I think I'm going to get you to come and sing everywhere now with a voice like that. Absolutely amazing. Well done. So again, coming back to all the traveling, what good practices have you seen?
When I've been traveling around,
traveling and speaking to all your agents.
Biggest one for me is work within the community, because the work within your community builds your reputation, it builds the trust, and makes you be the number one person that they're going to call if they want to do business with you. So for me, when I see agents doing business, and again in the America, they do it really good. You'll have seen that when you were over there, Stephen. But yeah, work within your community is one of the best practices that I've seen, and it's something that, you know, I do some of. I'd like to do more, but again, I know Katie does a huge amount. Her Facebook lives have been fantastic during lockdown, and there's been other people. One of the chaps that were on your learning live last week, wasn't it? They're absolutely fantastic. I saw him at a conference and blown away by the work that he does. So yeah, that is one of the really good practices that I've seen. And again, constantly learning, making sure that you go to the conferences, making sure that you go to your sorts of training sessions, you know, property mark training sessions, constantly developing yourself is so important, because the industry's changing all of the time, and you need to keep up to date with it. And it's those people that don't that are going to struggle.
So presumably, because you travelled a lot and you've had loads of regional meetings, you've seen some exceptional speakers. So what has Lauren learnt over the course of her presidency?
I've learned loads, to be honest. Absolutely loads. I mean, for me, there's the prop tech that I've seen has been absolutely incredible, and a lot of it I have been able to come and then put into my business and learn from that. So I would say that going to these conferences, the prop tech is just incredible. And obviously our friend Simon Whale has got that wrapped up with his kerfuffle, hasn't he? So the man to see if you're unsure. But yeah, so again, the prop tech is amazing. But one of the biggest things for me, my biggest learn was America, and how to be proud to be an estate agent and have that buzz back again, because it's tough. You know, we've had a really tough, challenging number of years, and it does sometimes beat you down. But I think when you go to places like America and you see that we talked about coming back and sprinkling some of their pixie dust in our industry, and wouldn't that just be great if you had that, you know, enthusiasm that they've got, and how wonderful it is to be a real, and how proud they are. Wouldn't our industry just be a better place? And I think it would. So that has been one of the biggest learns from me. But there's so many.
Keep going. So talk about prop tech. What have you seen that you've liked?
What have I seen that I've liked? So am I allowed to talk openly about?
Yeah, Yep,
Yeah,
we're not. I'm not on anybody's payroll apart from my
yeah.
own.
Oh, good.
So
So the biggest two things for me, which were fantastic. The biggest thing for me was changing my CRM, and I changed from Vibra to Vibra Alto, and that was a long time coming because I was so frightened to do it. I spoke to so many different people, saw so many decent platforms out there. And for me, it's been a complete game changer, especially with what's happened with COVID-19, being able to work in different locations in the cloud, have all of your documents there, and to be able to effectively communicate with your clients has been a complete game changer. So for me, that is number one. Absolutely love it. Number two, Good Lord. Absolutely love Good Lord. Love the guys. Their platform for me, again, really helped me streamline, not to worry about the compliance because it's all wrapped up with it. You know it's all done, and it saved probably a member of staff as well, me having to take somebody else on. So for me, that was fantastic, really, really good. So those are kind of the key two that I've seen, which were brilliant.
okay, lovely. So coming back to America, what I found about the Americans were they were very forward and very friendly. So they would see you, they would kind of, they didn't know who you were, didn't know me from Adam, but they would come and have a chat. Over here, if you see another estate agent, you tend to run the other way. Why do you think that is?
Because they need to network for that whole fee split thing that we were just talking about. So that 6% fee, it's so important. And there's many more moves within the the United States. The average move, I think we were talking about that this week, is 200 miles, where ours is possibly 10 miles. So you need to have those contacts in different states to be able to effectively refer that client to someone in that area. So then you can say, don't worry, you're still my client. I can still look after you, but I can refer you to a partner client, and then you've still got the business. So it's so important. And it's not just in America that you'll have seen, the people globally that we were talking to, Stephen, when we were over there. It just completely opened my eyes to the opportunities that are out there, not just in the UK, where there's loads, but America and globally. So yes, they do all want to be friends because they want to share business and they want to build relationships. And I think we can learn a lot from that, and as agents, why can't we be like that? Obviously, with the low fees, it would be impossible to share the 1% fee with someone, but still, that relationship building, I think, is so important. But I think, to be honest, during COVID-19, I honestly feel that agents have came more and more together, especially in the social, online element. And we are working together and we are supporting each other. I know me personally and my high street, we got together with a few agents just online just to check on how we were. And at first they were like, why does she want me to talk to her in an online Zoom meeting? She's never done this before. And why is she inviting those folk as well? But actually we chatted for 2 to 3 hours, had a little strategy of what we were going to do locally in our windows and with the homes and things, and just give each other a bit of support. We shared some ideas, some training, and it was really, really useful. And then going forward, I'm sure we'll keep those relationships going forward, so it was really good, really worthwhile.
Yeah, look, I think I'm starting to see that a lot more now. So many more of there's so many Facebook groups out there. There's so many people willing to help each other. There's so many people who are willing to share ideas. I think one of the things that I find frustrating is it's great with all these groups, but the best agents are the ones that take action and implement them.
Mm.
So it's getting people to take action and implement it. And I suppose may come back to Property Mark. Do you find it frustrating that people seem to be that have a go at Property Mark? They don't do enough either for agents, or they don't do enough, to affect what's actually happening in the property market?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's frustrating because I deal with them on a day in, day out basis, and I know how hard they work, and I know how hard they work to communicate with their members. And a benefit is only as good as if somebody uses it and if somebody understands it. But there's all sorts of ways that we try to communicate: the magazine, social media, emails, phone calls, regional meetings, conferences, all sorts of things like that, Twitter, and it's only as good as if you engage with it. I mean, during COVID-19, we have just from our small board, weekly meetings, so everyone can update on their region. So Mark Hayward can then take that direct to government and try and influence. So, and they are constantly, every single week, what's happening? What more can we do for our members? Let's do this. What do our members need? But when you've got a huge association, sometimes the members from the outside just don't understand that. So I think it's just a misunderstanding of what they think and what we are trying to deliver as an association. But hand on heart, I tell you, they have grafted, Stephen, throughout this. They have been working morning, noon and night to try and deliver what we feel that the membership needs or is going to need going forward. So yeah, but I hear what you're saying about the comments that people do make.
And regulation.
Yes. Here it comes.
Is it gonna come? Are we gonna wait another 2 years, 3 years? Or, I mean, I've been saying the industry should have been regulated, and I've been doing it for over 30 years now. And it's scary what goes on out there. And I appreciate, we were hoping ROPA was going to happen, and whether it's, is it put on the back burner, or are we actually going to see estate agents regulated?
Well, we're hoping that we're going to see them regulated. And as far as I'm aware, that train is still on that track. And people who have been furloughed, I'm hoping, have been studying towards their level 3, because what a perfect time to have been doing it when you're at home and unable to offer services to your company. So good agents will have been developing themselves and getting ready to be qualified. People who've been sitting back, then they're going to have some catching up to do, because it's going to come. Of course it's going to come. And yeah, I've been saying this from day one. Get prepared now. Get it in your strategy, your learning strategy for your staff, especially those large businesses, and help people through that. There's loads of resources out there to be able to learn online, virtual training now. So people need to open their eyes and say, it is coming, get ready for it. It's going to make the industry
No, I agree with you. It will make the industry better. If you ask most people what they think of estate agents, I dread to think what the answer will be. And you've talked about trust, you've talked about honesty, you talked about relationships building, which is what it should be. But it's just scary to see that. I don't know what it is, whether there's an apathy here for certain training. So I don't want to train, I don't want to do it. And actually, when you think about it, we're selling vendors' biggest tax-free assets. We're helping landlords maximise their investment. And solicitors are regulated, accountants are regulated, lawyers are regulated, doctors are regulated, and I could be a butcher today and an estate agent tomorrow.
Exactly. And not wanting to go too much into America, but again, those guys cannot believe we are not regulated, where they have to sit exams locally, regionally and nationally, and have licenses in all of those 3 to be able to practice. And if they don't, can't practice. And they cannot believe that anyone can set up as an estate agent. So yeah, it's scary. It's very, very scary. And it's scary, actually, some people you talk to who think that they don't need to learn, Stephen, because they already know everything. So they don't need to learn. They don't need the qualifications because they've been in the industry for 40 odd years and they already know everything. But actually, if you look at some of the sample questions that are on a level 3 exam, they can trip people up. And they have been known to trip people up. So, there's no time like now, I don't think. If you're at home and you're furloughed, use this time wisely, get ready. Because, if there are going to be redundancies that are going to be made in companies, hopefully there won't be, but if there is, If you're sitting there with your level 3, you're going to be, if you're going for a job and you've got your level 3, you're going to be much, much more popular to those employers.
Okay, lovely. So Simon's asked a question. He's 10 miles away from Wrexham. Why isn't there an NAEA agent within 20 miles of him? Would you know the answer to that?
Wrexham, within 20 miles. I'm not sure. I'm not sure of why we don't, but would you like to be a regional representative? It's, you know what, it's difficult to fill the positions with the right people because there's a lot of time that needs to be given, and it is a voluntary post, and those people have to be on message and have to give a huge amount of time. So unfortunately, we do get people in position, but for whatever reason, and it could be a very genuine reason that they just can't give the time, then we need to fill that place, and it's tough to fill those places all the time. So we're always looking for new enthusiastic people to come onto the board. So if you feel that you would be a good person, then please do apply.
There you go, Simon. You're being sold to. See?
I'm summoning you, Simon.
Always asking the question. Okay, wherever you are. So Pete, it's all about attitude, and if staff have the wrong attitude, they need to go. If you want to earn, you have to learn. And I know, well, when I went over to ARIC, Australia, the property conference out there, there was about 4,000 to 6,000 agents there. The majority pay to go themselves. Here is right. Oh, Lauren, will you pay for me to go? No. Okay, that's the end of it. How do you think you can change that message and get people investing in themselves?
Well, they're going to have to invest for themselves, because when ROPA comes in, if you don't have that license, you can't practice. No license, no job. So I don't think it's going to be a want. It's going to be a need within the industry, Stephen. So people need to start thinking about that now and start planning for it. But something that I said a few months ago before the COVID-19 is, I'm sure you've got lots of people within your group that you train. Don't just go for the level 3. Set yourself different, because everybody's going to have the level 3. Go for the level 4. Because that's really going to stand you out head and shoulders above everybody else. And it's a tough one. I haven't even done it yet myself. I'm studying for it at the moment, but it is a tough one. So I think if you're that sort of person and you've got that drive to be the best that you could possibly be within your career, you're going to have to be educated. You're going to have to be licensed, get the best possible qualification you can for your career. That's the way I see it. Work your way up that ladder yourself.
How would you educate the vendors? How would you educate our customers? Because there's people out there that, well, if we're being polite, are cowboys. But it's educating the public about the qualifications and the need of regulations. So how would you go out and get that message out there?
Well, I must say, Property Mark have done a lot more consumer faced over the past few years since we rebranded to Property Mark. So one of their key strategic goals were to be educating the consumer on the need to have a professional and a licensed agent to be able to work with you, so that you know that you're getting the professional advice. But I must say, every person that I see when I go out and see them, I've got my card and I can show them my membership card. And I know that other associations do the same, to show that I have taken the time to sit exams and that I know what I'm talking about. The advice that I'm giving them is educated advice, and give them that comfort. So I think as an industry, it's up to us as well, not just the associations, but it's up to us to educate the consumers when we're talking to them, whether they're coming in the office and speaking to a neg, or our valuers that are out on the road, or social media videos that go out. Everything needs to be to the consumer, to educate the consumer, because actually they don't know until you tell them. Did you know that the butcher can set up tomorrow's? What, really? No, that can't be right. Yep, that's right. That's right. So yeah, I think as an industry, it's up to us to do that as well as our associations.
Okay. So I think Simon's going to message you. So there you go.
Excellent.
Well done. Was that a soft close? Pete says that what's the NAEA doing to help people with a learning difficulty? I'm dyslexic and happy to say that. So how can the NAEA help me?
All right. Okay. Well, we'd need to look at him as an individual and the type of way that he can learn. So there's all sorts of new things that have been brought out, video learning. There's obviously there was face-to-face, but now it's all virtual learning. So you do have kind of an instructor there with you. We work with MOL a lot. So I would probably need him to speak to me personally, actually, and then I can do some investigation. So I've never been asked that question before, but I'd be happy if he wanted to connect with me afterwards, and I can ensure that he gets the right advice.
Fantastic, thank you, and thanks for the question, Peter, and Simon as well. A couple of other questions because I realise your time's precious and Gin is waiting for you. What lessons have you personally learned going through COVID-19?
Number one, business-wise, is to ensure that your business can operate still during a global pandemic, i.e. in the cloud, wherever you need to be, that your business can still operate, and key that you can communicate effectively with your clients and with your staff. Number two for me is well-being. Absolutely so important. And it starts with your personal well-being. You need to find within yourself what makes you happy and do it more, because this is challenging times. It's tough, it's pressure, it's stressful, but the more that you look after yourself, the more that you can give to your business. So for me, well-being is my family around me being happy, which they are, and my horse, which for me is my complete release, and gin is very important to me as well. So ensure that you have a cupboard full of that, and not being afraid to say you're having a tough day, and ensuring that you've got a good support network around you. I'm very lucky to have very supportive colleagues on the board who do check up on you, because sometimes, especially if you're a business owner, I'm a single business owner, I don't have a partner, I don't have anyone to say, I'm really struggling with this today. This is really getting a lot for me, and that is a real challenge. And it's so important to be able to talk and to be able to overcome those challenges, so that you can come back the next day with a positive outlook and smash it. So that has been really important, and I have concentrated on my well-being, because at times it became very stressful, very pressured, not just with the business but home life as well. I've got a 2-year-old and an 8-year-old who are at home, trying to homeschool the 8-year-old and trying to have my husband looking after the 2-year-old, and the dog has been quite a challenge. So trying to fit all of that in, as well as looking after the business, and of course looking after the well-being of my staff, which again has been a challenge, because you would think, oh, well, half of them were furloughed, by the way. The guys that were furloughed, you would think, oh, they're all right, they're furloughed. Well, actually, no, they really struggled, because they're used to having their peers around them for support. They're used to coming to work all day, you know, that pattern of coming to work, working, going home, looking after the family, then that's totally gone. A few of them were completely lost. And I was really worried about their mental health at times, you know, and they really need brought back in. So, you know, as a business owner, I had to make sure that they were all right as well. And we managed that very well with daily Zoom calls and weekly wine hour on a Friday at 6 o'clock. And we've had quizzes, dressy ups, all sorts of things. So, you know, I've really learned that we need to look after each other as well, and be so grateful for those peers that we have, the colleagues we have, and for your family. So I think that would be my last thing, be grateful. And I've certainly have been very grateful through this scary time that I've got my health, still got my business, I've got a lovely home, and I've got a wonderful family. So I have learned to be grateful again. And I think lastly, one more thing, I've learned to really fall in love with the business again. You know, I went through the stressful period. We had Brexit, all of that going on. And I worked on my business rather than in my business. And through COVID, I've worked in my business, and I have absolutely got that buzz back, speaking to clients, doing those deals, you know, looking after people and really helping people and supporting people. I've really, really got that, you know, a grumble in my tummy where, oh, I can't wait to see what they thought of that property. And, you know, I've got another instruction, and it's been great. So I would say any business owner who hasn't been kind of on the front line in your business, get back in it for a few weeks and really feel what your staff are feeling. Because for me, it's been absolutely fantastic. And I'm loving it again. Like I said at the beginning, I'm feeling so positive now, really, really positive. So it's all good.
Brilliant. Well, I love your passion and I love your energy. So, and it comes across incredibly well. Just on the well-being side, I became the founder of the Agents Together charity.
Right,
and next Tuesday at 1 o'clock, we've got a wellbeing webinar by a lady called Jo Hemmings, who's a behavioural psychologist. So if people go to the Agents Together website, they can sign up to the webinar. It's actually 1 o'clock. So I have got lunchtime learning next Tuesday with Sue Gidney at Richard James, who's an exceptional letting agent down in Swindon. So we're going to bring that forward to 12 o'clock so everybody can have the pleasure of watching that and then going on to the webinar straight after as well. So, you know, again, great. And, you know, maybe if you can help by getting that up to your Property Mark members as well, that'd be absolutely fantastic. And we would be really grateful.
No problem.
So thank you. So one final question. You touched on it a bit earlier. So if you were starting your agency today, what would you be doing differently?
Well, I certainly wouldn't have paid what I paid for the business at the time without taking professional advice. So I was completely green as grass, and, you know, I probably paid 20 times more for the business than it was probably worth. So, you know, I would not have done that. Absolutely not. Secondly, although I'm a sole managing director of my business, there's been times throughout my career when I've felt that I could really have done with a business partner. For instance, when I was poorly, when I had my 2 children, I remember lying on the bed of, you know, waiting to have my cesarean section with my second child, and I was saying to them, I need to just negotiate this offer. I'll just be one moment. So I've never really had that time away to spend with my family because I have been the business, and it is very stressful. So that's one thing I would probably do, is I would have went in with somebody who was like-minded, had the same passion as me, and had the same business values as me, and had it as probably a joint venture. And lastly, if I was starting up again, I would have thought more about the location of the business and where I would set up, because I think I did make a bit of a mistake of taking over a business in an area that I wasn't familiar with. I was within property values, etc., but I didn't go to school there. My mum didn't know the other mums there. Whereas at the area of my second place, Whitley Bay, I grew up there. I knew all the mums. I'd played sport with them, had horses with them. My stepdad was a GP in the village. So all of that sort of thing really helped me build the relationships and helped me work in the community more effectively, and helped me win more business. So I think if I'd started again, I would have went straight in for Whitley Bay with a business partner, and I would have just built the business up myself without paying an extortionate amount of money for it.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. So you've been an amazing guest. Really, really grateful for your time. I'm so pleased finally got you on here. Katie Griffin, if you're watching, guess who's being asked next? So website address for Agents Together, I think, is agentstogether.co.uk, and then if you go to the hub, the wellness webinar is on there. Peter, I think, wants to get a hold of you, Lauren. Is there a good email address or place that he can get hold of you at?
Yeah, absolutely. So my personal is lauren at tp-property.co.uk. But I will connect with you on Facebook if that's all right afterwards as well. And then I can get you into the right channels for the qualifications team. I'll sort it out
Fantastic.
for you, no problem.
Brilliant.
I'll do all the research for you, and then I'll tell you exactly who you need to speak to.
Fantastic, thank you. So loads of nice comments coming through. Simon, who's going to be your new representative in Wales, he just doesn't know it yet,
Yeah,
says thanks very much.
gin as well. In the team, if he likes gin, Katie will be pleased.
There you go. Lisa, amazing session. Thank you. Ruth, thank you. Katie, awesome. Jeremy, another excellent learning session. Andrea, thank you. Martin Baum, thanks for coming on here. Brilliant, Lauren. We could get all the past presidents on here, couldn't we?
We should. And it would be even more fun if we did it at 6 o'clock when we all had a glass of wine in our hands. Evening learning.
Okay, well, everybody, thanks very much for joining today. Really appreciate it. So next week, as I said, next Tuesday at 12 o'clock, the earlier time, going to be joined by Sue Gidney of Richard James, who's an exceptional letting agent in Swindon. You then got the Agents Together webinar at 1 o'clock. And on Thursday, instead of lunchtime learning, it's going to be a tea time learning at 7 o'clock. And my guest is Jeb Blunt, who is the fanatical prospector, written an exceptional book. He's written a new book on negotiation and inked. We're going to be streaming in him from the States. So very, very excited about that. So have a productive Thursday. And thanks very much for joining us. Have a great day. Cheers all. Bye. And thank you so much, Lauren. And if you're watching on replay as well, thanks very much for staying to the end. Really appreciate it. Bye.
Everyone. Bye-bye.